All right, thank you, John, and welcome everyone back to the second day here of the ARIN PPML for spring 2021. I'm going to quickly run through the Internet Number Resource Status Report. This is a report that is prepared by all 5 of the RIRs and consolidates all the numbers and gives an update and status on the number resources in each of the regions and a comparative look at that. Next slide, please. So this is just a representation of where all the 256/8s are residing, where they have been given out to. Nothing too interested. This doesn't change much these days. Matter of fact, I don't think it changes at all unless there's a transfer. Well, actually, it doesn't even change then because this is the distribution from IANA. So it doesn't change no matter what happens. Next slide. So this is a look at the total IPv4 addresses that are managed at each of the RIRs. Not a lot interesting there, other than probably, as you could guess, that 99.76 at ARIN, there's a lot of legacy included in that. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. Slide. Next slide. My internet is unstable.
Okay, John, do you want me to take it over?
If you can, my internet's unstable, it says. I'm in the office, but can you hear me now?
Okay. We can hear you. Do you know what slide you're on?
I am now on what's showing now is available IPv4 space in each RIR.
Which is what we're seeing.
Okay, awesome.
Very good.
So this is this slide is the available space in each of the RIRs currently. That's available for distribution from what we used to call a free pool. But some of these are special use, and as everyone knows at ARIN, we don't have any that's we can say with any certainty here's how much we have, but we have space that gets returned and we use our waiting list to manage that. Next slide. Okay, internet, this is IPv4 space issued by RIRs in terms of /8s, how much space has each RIR issued per year. As you would guess, this shows that it's gone down and down and down and down. And it will probably go even less for 2021. Not a whole lot interesting with that. Next slide. All right, inter-RIR transfers. Number of transfers per year. This is intra so this is within each of the RIRs. Their customers to other customers within the same RIR. It's steadily going up in most regions. Right leads the way in the number of transfers each year. Next slide. This is the number of addresses transferred by year. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a different story. The number of addresses transferred by year, ARIN is transferring the most when you go by the address count. So there's a big difference in the number of transfers and the number of address blocks, which means there's probably a lot of bigger transfers going on within the ARIN region. Next slide. Okay, this slide is a little busy, but this is the total number of IPv4 transfers between RIRs. We're actually going to be updating the slide to use a table that shows this a lot clearer. But for our purposes here, what this shows is going out from ARIN to APNIC there was 327 transfers and coming in 53. Actually, let's go to the next slide so we can just talk about number of addresses rather than number of transfers. That's what's more interesting, I think. From ARIN to APNIC is 19.01 million out and 189,000 in. To LACNIC, it's 256 out and 13.82 in, and to RIPE, 8.7 million out and 735.75 thousand in. So as you can see, with the legacy space that ARIN has, the amount of legacy space, there's been a lot of transfers of legacy space outside the region to other regions, which is probably pretty good. Next. Okay, this is this is where all the current IPv6 address space and how much has been allocated to the RIRs. There were some smaller blocks allocated from IANA to the RIRs earlier on, but today, as you can see, AFRINIC has a /12, APNIC has a /12, LACNIC has a /12. ARIN and RIPE are the only two that have gone back to IANA for their second /12. So both ARIN and RIPE are holding a /11 of that space. You can see the space allocated to RIRs before October 2006 on that chart down there. Okay, next slide, please. These are the number of IPv6 allocations allocated that each RIR has allocated through the years. LACNIC is pretty steady. LACNIC transfers a lot of IPv6, allocates a lot of IPv6 out. I think that has something to do. They have a policy that everyone gets IPv6 when they're a LACNIC customer. Not a whole lot of other interesting stuff there, other than it stays pretty steady. It does grow from time to time. If you notice, for ARIN has stayed remarkably steady over the last 10 years. If that means anything to anybody, I don't know, but it seems kind of remarkable to me that it stays so steady. Same with AFRINIC is pretty steady. Okay, next slide, please. The total allocated IPv6 space by RIR. RIPE has allocated the most. And then you see APNIC, ARIN, LACNIC, and AFRINIC. Next slide. This is the prefixes that each RIR IPv6 assignments that have been assigned per year. Looks like APNIC does a lot of assignments. The rest of it is pretty steady. Nothing that really begs for explanation. Next slide. And this is just the total, all those years totaled up. LACNIC has a lot of assignments, as you can see from the chart. Next slide. So the percentage of members with IPv6 in each RIR, and this slide's a little bit weird. I believe that 9.1, those pieces floating over the top, I think are members with IPv6 only. Yeah. It was supposed to, it should show something different, but anyway, so for the total for ARIN, members with IPv6 is 60.1%. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to talk about the AS numbers. This is just, again, a slide that shows where all the AS numbers are allocated out to at this point in time. Next slide. How many ASNs each RIR issues per year. And that's broken down by 32-bit and 16-bit. I'm just pausing here to give everybody a chance to look at it. Not a whole lot to say about it. It is what it is. These are the numbers. Next slide. I'm sure everybody could guess that this was the total. This slide would be the total ASNs assigned by each RIR. The floating number is the 32-bit number, I would guess. These slides, apologize for the slides. I'm not sure what happened on the rendering of these. Next slide, please. This is the reference for where you can find these slides and these statistics on the NRO site, and also for the IANA number resources on the IANA site. Next slide. Okay, that's it. That is a look at where all the number resources in the world are residing these days, and what each of the RIRs are doing annually.
Thank you. And just to clarify for those as we open it up for questions, please make sure that you note if your name in Zoom is not your first and last name, that you note your first and last name as well as your affiliation when you ask your questions. If you choose to raise your hand, leave that hand up as we will toggle back and forth between questions and answers. Currently, Mr. Sweeting, it looks like we have one question from Mercedes Arnold at the Obsidian Group asking if are transfers by governments, ISP companies, or by end users?
Yeah, so the quick answer to that is the transfers are done by the RIRs to the RIRs, and but they're originating with customers of the RIR. So if it's an intra within ARIN, it's a customer of ARIN transferring to another customer of ARIN. So there is a source and a recipient for that transfer. They could be governments, they could be ISPs, they could be end users. They are just organizations that have number resources from ARIN. If it's an ARIN customer transferring to a RIPE customer, then it's ARIN working with RIPE staff to actually complete the transfer between those customers. And again, they could be government, ISPs, or end users. They just have to be customers of that RIR that they're doing the transfer through.
Thank you. It does not look like we have any further questions. I'll turn that back over to, I believe, to Mr. Curran to introduce the next speaker.